Hello, welcome to my channel, and in this video I am going to explain you how to create animation using the simple CSS style inside the SPFx framework for the web part. So for this project I am going to use the Animate.css, which is a famous CSS based animation from one of the project in the GitHub. This is widely used by the developers. I would explain you how to use that within SPFx. So I'm going to create a project. As usual, I'm going to use the yo command with all the parameters. My solution name is the Animate.css and my web part name is the Animate web part. And when I run this, it would create with option tenant. I set it to no. That's it. So it will start to create a project. Meanwhile, let me go through the Animate.css. So if you go to the Animate.css, most of the developers should be known about it. There are several animations which are here, like the bounce, flash. So they have so many of the animations, which is completely a CSS based. And you can make use of those animations just by including the CSS. You can download the whole project from here or the CSS and then apply in your project. So later I'm going to run this command, which is the npm install animate css -save, and it will be added into our SPFx project. And these are the classes which are supported within the CSS. You just include the class, the tag would start to animate. And there are several JavaScript which I will use as well. I mean, for few of the animation. And you can go through this site. It's a pretty much good one to do most of the animation stuff. Let me check how far it is. So it is still progressing on. So now the project has been completed. Let me open that in SPFx. Open in the VS Code. The VS Code will open in a while. Okay, so this is the VS Code which it has generated. Let me add some of the packages to make it default. So now I'm opening the package.json file. There is one other way you can include all the Bootstrap, jQuery, PNP.js. These three are mandatory for me now. What I'm going to do is I'm just apply it in the package.json and install in one shot instead of just running one by one. So if you see here in the package.json file, I have included the PNP command and the Phantasm, Bootstrap and the jQuery. And also in the types I have included these three. So what it does is, once you just include, you don't need to run these packages one by one. Just save whatever the changes you have done and create a terminal and just use npm install. So what this command does is it goes to the package.json and install all the package which you have included. So this would take comparatively less time rather than installing one by one all the packages. So for right now I'm just creating a base project to display the animal taxonomy from the organism. That's it. Later I would add the CSS to enable the animation. It had completed the installation of the packages. So now what I'm going to do is that I need to add some of the jQuery as well as preliminary steps to make sure that it works. Okay, so I'm just adding the jQuery and the Bootstrap, and later I need to add default method into the main web part. So the main web part I need to import. Oops, that takes so long. Okay, default method I need to import PNP.js, and I'm going to import the jQuery and the font awesome. jQuery and the font awesome. I'm going to install that. So this is how I install it. Maybe I'll just remove this one. Okay, so currently I'm just creating the base animal taxonomy to import the animal. So later I'm going to change that, as you see. So let me remove this, include this one, and I'm going to add init method. So I added the init method as well, the SPFx. So most of the things are already done. So now I need to create another class to get the animals. So I'm going to create new file, which is animal html animals html.ts. So this is the default steps which I usually do to create the animals HTML. Okay, I created the animals HTML and added the methods to get the animals from the organisms list. In my case, this is my list. If you are not followed my previous videos, so this is my list which has the columns which are name, description, genus, species, taxonomy, family, order, and whatever the column is in. So I'm going to pull the data from here and display it in a card format, and the card will animate. Whatever I am programming now, this program which you can see here on the animals.html, this program is just the base. So I have not added any of the animation yet, so it will just pull the animal details and show it is in the card format. And I have explained completely about each method in one of the other videos, like the PNP.js video. You can follow that PNP.js video. This video I just quickly go through, that's it. So this is focuses on main on the animation. So the code is already in, so hopefully my gulp control should work. Gulp hyphen. Okay, let it build, and then once the build is completed, then we can see the process here. Okay, it is running in. Okay, build has completed, and I'm going to refresh, and let me find animate. There was one animate process. Yes, so this is the web part which you can see here. Right now there is no animation, it is just the basic web part I created using the PNP.js to get the animal list. Okay, so right now it is loading the animal list from the list which it has. So now only the basic part is done. So I will add the animation from now on. So to add the animation, you need to add the package which is Animate.css, Animate.css, and I'm going to animate the header, and while you get the get organisms, it would animate while it load the animals, and when you mouse over the picture, I'm going to animate, and when I mouse over here, I'll animate as well. So there are several animation I will add in. So right now there is no animation. If you can see here, there is no animation. Okay, so let's go back to my code. Let me stop this. So now I need to install the package which is npm I animate.css hyphen save. I think that is a command. Let me see. I'll have to make sure once. What is that? Okay, animate.css hyphen save. So I'm going to just execute that command. So this would install the animate package into my project. So while it is installing, let me go back to the code to show where I'm going to add the animation. To add the animation, the process is very simple. Just add the class name. You can see the example here. So you just have to add the class, one of this class name into your HTML tag. So I'm just going to follow exactly this method, which is animated infinite bounds delay 2 seconds. So copy this, just copy this class. I'm going to copy this class and go back to your code and put it here. Okay, yeah, so it has added the package. So once it has added the package, the next step you should do to make this code to work is that you need to import it into your web part. So how do you import it into your web part? You need to add the require statement to the CSS. So basically the require statement will import your CSS, external CSS. Okay, so add this import, add this require method, then go to your code and add this class. That's it. It will start to animate. So now I am animating the heading alone. So you would see that it should animate. Let me run the code again. So when I run the code, the build process will start. So when I refresh that, the delay 2 seconds is like once it has loaded, it would wait for 2 seconds, then it will start the animation process. So the animation process is after 2 seconds. So you'll have to wait 2 seconds to see the animation. Let me load that here. So yes, so let me wait. Yes, see here, it is animating now, it is bouncing. So now I've added, just by the simple method of CSS class, it is animating. And when you click on that, it is just loading. So I'm going to animate the load method. Okay, so the next process is animating the load method. Animating the load method takes, so let me go back to, yes, this is the code which creates the card, which is the animation code card. So I'm going to just add a method within, let me go back to, okay, animate card. Probably I will add inside the animate card method so that it can be easily animated. Okay, I'm just finding out the exact method to animate. Let's wait. Where is it? Okay, this is the card. Give me one second. Yes, card. So here I'm going to say animated. The animation name which I'm going to use now is the fade in down. Fade in down is one of the animation. Fade in down animation, what it does is it will add a fade in down effect to the cards, and later it would show the animation of all the cards coming down. So once this is completed, let me check. Let me wait for it to complete. Reload process is done. So right now it is animating. I need to refresh this. So once it is refreshed, I'm going to use the get organism. Wow, see here. So this animation fade in down is working. So I just added one class which is animated fade in down. So the art cards are coming down with animation. Okay, so I added the animation for this just in seconds. The next animation I'm going to add is about mouse over. When you mouse over this image, I'm going to just shake it. So I'm going to add a animation which is the shake animation. Okay, and to do that, let me go back to the code again. Go back to the code. So to do that, there are two methods to do the hover animation. One is like you can add a CSS file, external CSS file, add your class and import the external CSS file into your code and just mention the class. The other method is using the jQuery. So jQuery hover method you can use to add any animation in just quick. I'm going to add jQuery as well as the CSS method. First I will do the jQuery method. Second I will demonstrate you how to use the CSS method. Okay. Let me add the code, hover code. Let's see how it goes. Here. Okay. So this is the hover code which I am adding in. Let me remove the error messages from here. I'm just removing the code to make it to look better. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm finding the exact image for all the cards. Once it is added dynamically into your code, make sure that you add this method after you create cards using the jQuery and appended into it. Before appending it, if you do it, it doesn't work because jQuery cannot find that div tag. So what I'm doing is I'm just finding this tag using the jQuery. For all the image tag which is there, I'm just adding a hover method at the runtime. Nothing but adding a class. Whatever I did by manual class equal to, I'm just adding the class. When you mouse out of it, it removes the class. That's it. So I'm saving it. Let me see how it works. Okay, build process is done. Let me refresh this. And the animation starts now. Okay. See here? The shake method. So every image, when I mouse over, it will add a shake method, shake animation. There are several animation you can even do it. So I'm just adding the shake animation. The next method which I mentioned you about adding the animation is through the CSS. We finished the jQuery, now through CSS. To perform that, what I'm doing is I already have one CSS uploaded into my site assets. See here, there is a CSS URL. This is a sample animate CSS which I created already and uploaded into my SharePoint. You can use any of the absolute path. In my case, I just uploaded into my SharePoint, same SharePoint. And if you look at it in the CSS, I just create one tag, that's it. Animate text, hover, and when you hover, you just use the animation wobble. So just the wobble animation which I'm adding into the CSS. So this is the external CSS into the site assets. Okay, and this is the class which I'm going to just use it, animate-text. So wherever you use the animate-text within your div tag or your HTML, it is going to animate. Okay, provided that animate.css is loaded. So now I'm going back. So if you see here, the animation is not there, to make sure. So now I'm going back to the code. So I go back to the code, look for all the header tag, which is into the body. I have this header, which is the name. Here I'm going to just add animate.text. You can see here the class animate text. I added it here. Okay, so what this class does is it will look for the CSS. If the CSS has this implementation of mouse over, it is going to do. But before that, I need to load the CSS to make it to work. So to load the CSS from outside of at the runtime, SharePoint has its own method, which is the SP loader, which component loader you need to implement. So what I'm going to do is I would copy that SP loader. This is the SP loader component. You can see here. And this SP loader component, on in it, you need to load the CSS. So in my case, I load it into the SharePoint. It can be a CDN path or whatever. So I just add the URL here. Remember, I uploaded into the site assets in my SharePoint, and this is the animate.css. It just has one code. When I save that, it will start to compile. Build has been completed. So now I'm going to refresh this. Hopefully it will load, and animation is here. This one is here. See here, the mouse over. This is through CSS and this is through jQuery. So you can load the animation using both jQuery and the CSS. So that's how you add the animation into your application or the web part. Okay, next step what I'm going to do is that these animation I'm going to make it kind of bit configurable using the property pane within the SharePoint feature. So this property pane feature is like makes it easy for you to do. So what I'm going to do, I'll stop this one because there will be a major code change. I don't want it to break. So I would implement a property pane and make it more configurable. Okay, so I'm importing all the property controls, the first step, and the second step is to implement few of the properties to get the property variable as a variables. So here if you see here the header control which you have, the header animal taxonomy, for that header I'm giving 3 options. One, to change the animation. Second, whether you want to infinite loop the animation or to just stop once. And the third, how far, when the animation should start or the duration of the animation to do. And also I have the delay process, which is like how long animation should delay, okay, to start. For now it was 2 seconds, so I'm making it to configurable. And for the card image, I'm giving you a choice to choose the animation when you mouse over, whether it is shake or whatever. And also for the heading, you can change it. Okay, so those 3. CSS you cannot do it because the CSS load is for CSS to be dynamic load, it's a different process, so it would take much time to do that. Okay, so in this I would just focus only on CSS. I would focus only on the properties which are easily to configure. The next step to do the process is that you have to modify the get property method. Maybe I'll just remove this and then add my own. Okay, so if you see here, I completely changed this method to add all the properties. I'm having a header animation. I'm creating a 2 page. Okay, page 1 and page 2. 2 pages are there. 2 pages. First page has so the first page has the animation which takes for the header, which is the animal taxonomy header. I'm just going to change that animation. I'm giving few options. One is to change the animation, second is to loop or not, and then the delay plus the duration. And the other one, I'm just giving a choice of when all the animals are loading in, what is the animation you want to do, and what is the choice for the image when you mouse over. Okay, and finally, to make it to work, what you should do is these properties you should make sure that it is loading at the runtime. Okay, when the first time when it loads, it should load. So for that you need to go to manifest package deploy. Okay, I think it is here in, yes, here. Okay, so you have to go to your web part properties and you need to change or add all the properties which you want to load at the first time. So in my case, what I'm doing is I'm having these properties which I'm making it to load at the first time. Let me save this as well. Okay, manifest, no, here. Okay, so I'm going to the web part configuration file, manifest JSON file, web part JSON file. Just change this one, add these. So first time when the animal taxonomy heading will flash, okay, instead of jump, then it will run in a loop for 2 seconds. It will start after 2 seconds, and there is an option parameter which is a slow, how fast the animation should run, and when it loads, fade in down, and the shake for mouse over. So these are the things I'm doing in, and now I'm going to make the code to integrate that into the code. To do that, first I need to pass this, I need to declare the variable, yes, this variable into the animate class. So here what I do is I'll just say import my properties from dot slash web part. Okay, I'm importing it from the web part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement the whole into configurable. So let me copy from my existing code. So basically I'm just going to delete this and then just put it here. Okay, let me do some modification. Okay, and this takes, okay, okay, the code is straightforward. What I'm doing is importing this property, declaring a variable to use these properties, props variable, and I'll set it out later in the main web part. And here if you see inside my animate class, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make this inside this class there will be a jQuery method which will inject the classes here. Okay, and also if you see here initialize control, I added several methods, like I'm getting the properties which is a header animation, header loop, and then header delay, and I'm using this jQuery code. So this is the jQuery code which will inject your class based on the selection into here. That's it. Okay, so jQuery code will use that when you initialize. And also I am adding a method here. If you see here, getting the load animation, this is for the carts. When it loads, when all the animals it's loading in, you need to change the animation. So for that I'm setting into variable whatever the properties you get it there and set it here. That's it, using the server kind of a code, which is a TypeScript code. And finally here I slightly changed. Remember before I was just hard coding the shake animation here, but now what I'm doing is I'm going to just parameterize getting the card image, which is the animation from the property. I'm just setting it, so you can just change now. That's it. So these are the mild changes I have done. So now I will run the gulp serve. So this command, let me wait for it to build. Okay, now it has completed the build. Let me refresh it. Hopefully there should be a flash animation for this. I don't know why it is not. Maybe something wrong happening here. So while load it should come up. Let me see, it is not happening. Okay, but the properties are all here. That's fine. Let me debug that. So go back to the code. Let me find out what is the issue. Okay, found out the issue, which is I need to set the variable here. I forgot to set it. Remember we declared the variable which is this props. It is not initialized, that's why it is showing some error. So let me initialize that. Organic class dot props is equal to organic dot props is equal to this dot properties. Okay, so this is how I need to set. Hopefully it will build and then it will work in. Build complete. Let me refresh, and then let me get the variable here. Okay, it is working. Okay, so now if you see here, let me make it to bounds. It is working, and I want to make it infinite, so it will keep on infinite running in. And this is just a delay, so it will start in 2 seconds. Okay, so the delay will start in 2 seconds, and I want to make it slower. Okay, see here it is slightly slow. If it is fast, it'll be faster. Okay, make it slower, Then the next page you have a property which is like all the properties which I've added, zoom in, fade in, all these effect. So eventually it has to apply that. Mouse over, for now it is a shake. Okay, let me get the organism. See here, this is there, shake. This one we are not configuring it. So right now it is shake. I'm going to make it like pulse. Okay, this is the pulse animation. And this one is now shake. I cannot change that anyway. And this is fade in down. You can even say zoom in from left. So from zoom in left, you can change it. See here, it will zoom in from the left. And the other property you can change is it is flashing. Then you can just make it as rubber band, which is like this is rubber band. Okay, and the rubber band can be faster. Okay, so that's how it works in. So we made it configurable, and also the animation is coming in, everything is working with the property pane. So this is how you do the animation for SPFx. Hope you liked it, and I feel it is useful to you. If you feel that it is a good example or the sample, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I would publish more SPFx on the due coming days. Thank you for watching the videos. Hopefully see you next time with some more samples. Thank you so much.